Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, very, very good question.
Yeah, this is a very good question.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question.
Oh, that's a great question.
Ooh, that's a great question.
Yeah, that's a great question, Zanger.
It's a great question.
It's a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question. A really good question.
Gosh, this question to me, I hate this question.
That's a loaded question. but okay.
Hello, everybody. You don't get any fancy music because I am not back home in Portland, the Oregon one. We have New Englanders on today, so I do have to caveat that. The Mainers do not like us. I'm just going to be honest. The Mainers do not like us. We talk too fast for them. I'm kidding. That was a pretty good joke. I'm Doug Zanger, founder, editor-in-chief of Indie Agency News. Thank you so much for joining us. A reminder, our brief is very simple: to build a global home for independent agencies. Our mission is to serve independent agencies and the brilliant people behind them. And our goal is more visibility for indies and more choice for marketers and CMOs. I am in London today, meeting with we had a little happy hour last night here in London. So we have a few members over here and maybe a few more after last night. So really great to get together. And I was remarking to somebody earlier today, this time last year, we had 10 members here this time last year. We are now up to 163. So I want to thank all of you as members. This community means everything to me. And I will always be going to the mat for our members and for this industry. As I tell people, I'm 55 years old. I pushed all of my chips into the middle of the table. And so this is what I'm going into the sunset with. And I believe very, very deeply in what indies bring, not simply to a client's business, but to talent as well. And as an FYI, next week, we're going to start doing Meet an Indie Freelancer. So we do have a freelancer tier that is $180 a year. And part of that is that you do get a short interview that you can use, and we'll put up your portfolio. And you can use that interview however you want. So that is yours to keep and to spread out to the world, so that our members and the rest of the world can get to know you as a freelancer. So we're excited to start kicking that off. Plus, we're going to have a lot of other stuff going on in 2025. We wrapped up our first award, the Indie Agency News Top 40, not so recently, well, sort of recently. And we're in the awards mood again. Now, I'm going to say this. I will say it publicly. I freaking love Boston. I do. I genuinely love that city. And I love the people as well. And I think that's another big important part of this. And 63 freaking years. Let's bring Barb Riley in, the president and CEO of the Ad Club. 63?
Yes, and I would like to just say you look like you're from New England right now with what you're wearing. So you must.
This is very Portland, Oregon, too, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Yeah, 63. Can you imagine? But don't forget, the Ad Club in Boston is 121 years old. So we've been around a bit.
Yeah, I think so. I think Portland, we had the Oregon Advertisers Association, and I think we might have been a little older than you, not by much. So I know that Boston and Portland, Oregon have the two oldest. And you can see that GYK is going to be, we're going to be talking to them here shortly. And actually, I'm going to bring them both in. So Kristen, and then one of our members from Colossus, Greg. Good to see you again, buddy.
Hey, Doug. How you doing?
Good. Thanks again for all of your support of what we're doing, and it was great to see you at Ad Age Small Agency.
Of course.
That was a great time. That was fun. I tell people kudos to the entire team at Ad Age. They do such a great job with small agency. Obviously, we want you to support us, but we also want you to support people like Ad Age. We want you to support Little Black Book, support Ad Week, make sure that you're supporting the entire indie ecosystem. And they couldn't have picked a better spot for it. The venue was perfect. It was fantastic. Now I want to go back to the history of this award. So Barb, just give us a little bit of the history, because, there's the word Hatch in there.
Right. Well, again, we're kind of old. We've been around a long time, and one of the bigger ones too. But creative excellence is really important for the ad community. And I think that they were around a while before they realized it was more than just a social club, but it was really important to celebrate the great work that was being done to help brands and businesses grow. And they were looking for a way to do that. So they created an award show. And at the time they were thinking, who should they name it after? And Francis Hatch was the one that they selected. And he was, if you can remember, BBDO. They had a New England branch, and Francis Hatch was a leader at BBDO and really did some work to put New England ad scene on the map. So it was named the Hatch Awards, and it's been around ever since. He was a poet, a playwright, a creative for advertising. He wrote songs. He was a storyteller. And that's what we're really doing, is celebrating that kind of creativity.
Oh, that's such a great story. And that's something that pulls through for a very long time. And I think it's important, especially for either people that are just starting their careers or newer to the market. It's important to understand that history. I mean, similarly with Portland, with Dan Wyden and David Kennedy, obviously, understanding that history is really important. Let's talk a little bit about New England creativity a little bit. And this is a jump ball for all of you. Does New England creativity, and just bear with me here, does New England creativity feel different? And I'm going to get to another question to follow this up, because I would say, not that there's a house style within regions, but I'm curious to understand how creativity might feel different in New England than other places. Who wants that? Greg, should I throw you under the bus?
Okay, Greg.
That's fine. You can throw me under the bus.
Go ahead.
I think the answer is yes. I think as a native New Englander, born and raised in Massachusetts my whole life, I think there's a little edge to Boston. I think I think sarcasm is our love language, and I think you can kind of see that come through in the work that we do. I think there's definitely an edgy style to it. I think even when you look at the world of stand-up comedy, you look at comics from Boston, they have a different vibe to them as well. So I think there's something about the creativity that comes out of Boston. My creative partner and Colossus co-founder Travis, he and I always have a joke that, like, you can sum up Boston with, "You think you're better than me?" And I think that attitude, I know, Doug, you're from Philly, and I think that attitude kind of resonates in a place like Philly as well. You know what I mean? Like, and I think it comes through. I think it comes through in the work. And that's not to say that everything that comes out of Boston is like edgy and aggro. But
No, I know what you mean, though. Yeah.
But I think what you feel is that kind of vibe, and I don't know, Kristen, Barb, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's really been about community, and that's such a lame place to start. But I think we have such a unique size, and our city, everybody's really connected, whether we like it or not. It does create this kind of interesting dynamic of like both competition and community at the same time. We kind of are, fighting against each other while lifting each other up at the same time. And I just think that that's something that, some of the bigger cities really just can't do. And I think folks that, have maybe come up in the city that have moved on to, New York or LA or whatever, they sort of crave that and want to get back. So that's what I really love about working in this city.
Yeah.
I'm only going to add one thing, Doug, if I can.
Yeah, go, Barb.
It goes beyond the advertising. I think we're a city of firsts to begin with. I mean, our city is known for all these incredible firsts, like in technology and healthcare and politics and you name sports, but we always have something to prove. I feel like we never settle. And there's something about that it's sports teams, we're always trying to prove ourselves, whether we're underdogs or leaders. I don't think we give up. We just keep going at it.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny because I think sorry, go ahead,
Greg. No, go ahead, Greg.
I think you can triangulate all three of those answers, right? Because I think, because Kristen, what you were saying about community, like I think Boston is always looked at like, well, you're not New York, you're not LA. So I think that's where a little bit of that,
what?
Exactly. It's like, okay, we'll show you, and I think Barb too, like the first, like we are such a strong community, and I think there's a sense of confidence that we have too. That's like we're just as good as any other city,
And let me caveat that finger was not meant for independents. That was not meant for indies, because we have a lot of great indies in New York and Los Angeles.
I love New York and LA, of course.
I love New York and
amazing.
LA too.
It's amazing.
I love No, I do. But I have to caveat that by saying that was for the holding companies.
Yeah.
It's, you know, but let's move off that. All right, we talked about the chip on the shoulder. We've acknowledged that, you know, my family's from the Philly area, so it's a very similar thing where it's working hard, prove everything. To Greg's point, you know, Philly comedians, same deal, right? And it's just like just a different edge to it. And I think there's such a real realness to that. And yeah, and I love the fact that Philly and Boston are in between, that New York is sandwiched in between, because I do think that you know, there is that you're better than us kind of vibe, but at the same time, I think we all feed off of each other, which is actually really cool. And then you could also argue that it kind of dips down into Richmond a little bit. And so it seems like the aperture is getting wide, and the creative's always been really, really strong, but it feels like every market, New York included, by the way, it feels, and especially with independents, it feels like we're starting to hit new gears. And so not that the work was ever bad before, it's always been great. But what I'm seeing with indies everywhere, but since we're talking about the Northeast, it keeps getting better and better. What do you think is it keeps building the momentum for improving?
I mean, the changing of the landscape and the sort of addiction that I think a lot of us have to, you know, running on this media treadmill and trying to keep up. And, you know, especially when you're on the agency side, there's just something exhilarating about trying to do the next thing and the new thing and trying to, you know, reinvent what marketing is every single day, because you kind of have to. You know, there's something that there's always like the carrot is always, you know, you're always like chasing. I think that really kind of keeps the energy up and, you know, allows us to sort of think differently every time we attack something.
Yep. Let's see. Show of hands. Who in this show knows Mark Nardi?
Oh my God.
Freaking Mark Nardi. Tell me that's not the greatest Boston name ever.
It's pretty
Mark
incredible.
freaking Nardi.
Yeah.
And unbelievably talented. We first met, so I was in radio long time ago. And I was a creative director in radio. I built creative in-house practices at radio groups. And he and I first met, Radio Mercury Award, kind of that vibe. And oh my God, what a talent. What a talent. And Boston through and through. So that was our little quiz here.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's a great
Hey,
guy.
Doug, can I just add one thing to Kristen's answer too on
Sure.
why the creative is good? I agree with everything you said, Kristen. I also think there's so many talented people in Boston. You know, I mean, we were talking about creativity. I mean, the level of talent in this city is bursting, and there's so many great creative minds here. And I think, you know, everyone is just chomping at the bit to just kind of bring things, you know, there's such new, you know, new ways of thinking coming out of agencies all the time, and leveraging the new technologies and leveraging everything that I think, you know, communities like, I know you mentioned Philly and Richmond, all these communities, like, I think, you know, people aren't necessarily escaping to the big cities anymore. I think, you know, there's just so many talented people that I think it's awesome. It's just awesome.
I'll tell you what though. So one thing that I will say, and I teach as well, and I tell students, if you want to do New York, do it. Like, do it now. Like, give it a go now. If you want to do LA, do it now. If you want to do San Francisco, do it now. And in fact, like a friend, like family friend, somehow ended up in the business, and she's now senior person at an agency in San Francisco. It was the same thing. Just go and try it. And so, but you're right. It's there will come a point where after a few years, you might say, okay, I'm committed to New York, or it's time to go somewhere else. And I know in Oregon, we start seeing people come back after a little while. So it sounds like people boomerang back to Boston, which is great. Let's get into some work here. Let me get this going. We're going to start with, let's see here. Okay. Where am I going to go with this? Where am I? Oh, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go with this. Where is it? Okay. Oh, so this, I'm looking right now. So packaging and point of purchase campaign winner. So Greg, you're on the clock here. Walk us through some of this. This is beautiful, by the way. And oh my gosh, we're going to get to the Boston Symphony stuff here in a second, but this is great.
Thank you. Yeah. So we did all the brand identity and design for Good, which is a supplement company. We kind of went with obviously lots of bright colors, big, bold, bright colors. I think what was interesting is there was, we have some like dipped fruit in there, fruit that's like dipped in paint. So kind of taking the ingredients that you can find and the flavor profiles that you can find in some of these supplements and kind of doing a whole like paint motif to kind of bring all those colors to life and stuff. So, I mean, great client, great project, ton of fun. Our team,
you're building you're building a system here.
The whole system, that's the thing. Right? Yeah,
right.
Yeah, a really nice cohesive system all the way through. And for us and for Colossus, design is such a huge part of our identity and who we are.
Yeah.
So I think this was a great project to really kind of flex our muscles a little bit and kind of showcase that.
Yeah, and I love this style. So that's that style of photography where is there a name for that style where it's you're getting the shadow from the spatula, but you're getting like the color pops. How is the aperture set on that? I don't know if I've ever known if there's like a technical term for it.
Well, you're asking the guy who came up as a copywriter, so I'd
okay, cool.
Be the one
all right, awesome.
To answer
so we're
that.
You and me as well. So let's just call it. We'll call it. Right.
I'd say that style is cool.
Yeah, that style is cool. Yeah.
It's really Greg. It's really like a lighting thing too, right? I mean,
yes.
getting
it's like hard, high key, hard lighting and stuff.
Yeah,
there we go. Okay, right, we did it. Yeah,
we did it.
This is all excellent. Now, and the thing is too, is that category in particular is wildly competitive. So you have a brand like Ollie that's already out there with bright colors. I'm curious about some of the conversations with the client as it related to the brief and how you were thinking through some of the competitive side.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to stand out, right? I think there's Ollie's really nice. It's got bold colors, but there's a simplicity to it. So we wanted to add a little bit of dynamism to it, right? Like I think that's where some of the colors came in and that sort of painting style and that painting technique. Like it really just adds a vibrancy and a different kind of flavor to it. I think, for us, we just wanted to make it feel a little bit more distinct. I think if you look across on a shelf, obviously a lot of it comes. We do a lot of research before we get into these projects, and I think we did a lot of walks through Target and CVS and Walmart, and and even across the digital landscape too, because a lot of this is direct to consumer as well. And you really kind of find a lot of blandness in the category. Trying to find our own footing within that space was really important to us. And making it eye-catching, and even the name Good, with 3 O's, and that sort of little accent on the middle O we thought was a nice touch as well, and we worked with them to create that name and to create that identity and all of that. So
it gives it motion. It gives it a little bit of action. Yeah. I love that. Oh my gosh, so great. Okay, now I'm gonna play a little video. Kristen, I think you're gonna be up next.
From Boston.
Here come the Bruins.
A nice gentle game full of battered chins, strikes, goes, and nosedives.
And the Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
Boston Power passes to Dumart. Dumart shoots, he scores.
Boston with O'Ree down the ice. O'Ree comes up the net.
If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you're right.
Here comes Bobby. Look at him go.
Fedor shot,
O'Reilly's into the stands fighting with a Ranger fan, and all the Bruins are going over. Ray Bork, the captain of the Bruins, will make a presentation.
Wow. Look at wow. A save by Lemon. You never saw more better games than Reggie Lemon turned in. The Boston Bruins are a one happy bunch. Scored! Not many done 50 and 44.
And the Bruins win in extra innings here at Fenway Park.
Everyone looking for a reason to believe that you can win.
Patrice Bergeron cut up by Marchand. Oh, Thomas reaching behind. Get the duck boats ready. The Bruins are 2011 Stanley Cup champions. What's so proud?
That is a difficult thing to 100 years.
Yes. Yeah. I'm ready to run into a brick wall all over again right now after watching that.
I met Willie O'Ree once.
That's incredible.
When I was, he was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
What a gift of a project to have, you know, with the first team in the league to kind of hit that centennial mark and to kind of capture the storied history that the team has, and really kind of creating, a storyline that creates a bit of a cliffhanger and some of a hopeful future. That was really the goal of that film, and it really just kind of acting as a love letter to the fans.
And what I love about that, and Barb and Greg, you can weigh in on this too, is it can be very, very easy to try too hard. And what I mean by that is I went to a Celtics game once and at the Garden, and it was I think it was the first year that they started having like cheerleaders and like the promo guy. They did not like it. The fans did not like it one bit. And it was hilarious because there's a purity to it, right? So same with the Bruins, where it could be so easy to get maudlin. It could be and there's so much that you can pull from. I just thought the editing and the creative choices that were made were excellent.
That's really what it comes down to. I mean, the things that we were focused on were really kind of just accentuating what already exists. I mean, obviously, it's a rip of everything that has come until, today. But I mean, using things like music and creating that composition to just really accentuate the feeling that, that kind of edit can bring you. That was a really big piece of it too, to just kind of capture that in visuals, but that also, in that score and creating a range of emotions right to the very end there.
No, I love it.
We're all a special tie to the Bruins, each one of us for different reasons, but it's one of the many reasons we are so damn proud of being Bostonians.
Yeah, no, I get it. All right, let me play this. Excellent. I'm going to play another one. Hold on. talk about taking a commodity and breathing life into it. Greg, what was the brief on this?
Well, make us stand out in a category that nobody really cares about.
Right.
I mean, lettuce. I mean, lettuce isn't something you really people are. I don't know. I mean, yes, there's probably a really passionate group of people about lettuce, but I think to the general public, I think people just look at lettuce as lettuce.
Right.
What was amazing about Bowery Farms, though, is that it's all grown indoors, right? It's and I think there's something really special about the way, it's completely organic, the way it was, it's indoor farming. It's this whole new, kind of breakthrough way of growing this amazing, it actually tastes amazing too.
Oh yeah.
So for us, we wanted the creative to break through in the same way that the product actually breaks through in the category, right? It's not just your standard head of lettuce wrapped in saran wrap on the shelf.
Right.
So, we really wanted to kind of tap into kind of some relatable human emotions. I think some of the copy you saw there, like your parents believe everything they read online, and you peaked in 4th grade and all these things. But like, hey, no matter what you're going through in your life at the moment, guess what? Your lettuce is going to be delicious no matter what. So, I mean, it's just such a basic, construct,
right.
But, animated in a really kind of odd, quirky way. And even the music itself is just a little off, like
right.
just enough where, it kind of itches your brain a little bit, that kind of just grabs you and breaks through just a little bit and memorable.
Right.
We did a whole like subway takeover.
Oh, fun.
And train station takeover in New York and stuff. And it always comes back to New York,
cool.
but
right.
So
Barb's got sun in her eyes. You gotta get
I
what's happening? It's fall in Boston. What's going on?
Angelic. Really angelic.
Sorry.
Oh my God. So funny. All right. I gotta keep it moving. Let's take a peek at this one.
You know what I love about this Archeroos Rosé? The fresh, fruity, flavored taste and raspberry. It's very light and flavorful. It's the perfect thing after a good scoop. Excuse me, I just gotta leave the old tank.
Elizabeth Banks.
Yeah.
Remains undefeated, by the way. Let's just all agree.
She's awesome. She's really great. I think so that's for Archeroos wines. For us, like, for Colossus, like we try to make brands be distinct, right? Particularly in their category. And Archeroos is a canned wine company, right? And you're not supposed to put wine in cans. If you talk to the wine purists, it's a very the wine category can feel a little elitist and elevated. So this brand was built on the premise that wine should be fun and approachable and shouldn't take itself too seriously, and you can still enjoy really great wine. So that comes through in all of these ads. Like even when I watch, he played the scuba. We call it Scoobs, the Scoobs commercial.
So
I just laugh and like, this is so dumb, but we really love it. It's so funny. But kind of just trying to break through and like, behaving in a way that a wine brand really shouldn't.
Right.
And Elizabeth Banks is sort of the perfect conduit for that because, her vibe matches the vibe of the wine well. And she's such a good sport about, we're like, hey, Liz, we need you to put on a scuba suit in the middle of the summer in Los Angeles and walk across this kitchen. And she's like, all right, sure. You got it. But, and then even with the snakes, they want us to launch a rewards program. So it was pretty basic rewards program. You get X number of dollars back. So he said, well, no one's really going to pay attention to it, but people will pay attention if you give away poisonous snakes. And they were like, yeah, love it. Let's do it. So we did this whole promotion where if somebody bought 100,000 cases of wine which I think translated to like $5 million. We would give you a poisonous snake of our choosing. And we did this whole promotion for a week where a lot of people were like, this is fake, right? Like this is hopefully fake. And then we did a whole apology thing. We were like, no, we're sorry, and then launched the regular rewards program, which was like $5 off or something. But again, just like really fun and unexpected ways to try to keep this category fresh and do something fun. So
a latter day, hey Pepsi, where's my jet?
Exactly. Except where's my Black Mamba or Cobra or whatever. Yeah.
One more from Colossus. This is beautiful work. Let's see. I'm not real great with the system here. So walk us through this. Let me pull this up so that it's a little less that. The Boston Symphony work, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Walk us through that a bit. And I'll figure out how I can get this onto something a little
we were tasked with rebranding the BSO, the Boston Symphony Orchestra, which, if you're from Boston, it's even if you're not from Boston, it's one of the most famous orchestras in the world. It's an institution. And they, it's a really, really tough challenge to kind of rebrand it's a monumental task. It took quite a long time. It was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Our design team was amazing. I mentioned my partner Travis earlier too. Like this was his baby for a long time. He spearheaded this, along with many, many members of the Colossus team. And it was just, really trying to find a system that modernized symphony, while not losing the essence of what they were. So it was a very fruitful and long exploration in terms of finding that right balance of modernity and, with an homage and a nod to the past and kind of merging those two worlds together. Because, it'd been a while and, creating a system that all works together, that involves, the Boston Pops and Tanglewood and all of these elements that you might not even think are part, and Symphony Hall, of course, that you might not even think are part of the BSO, kind of bringing all the worlds together. So,
well, and the thing is that, Tanglewood they're all iconic places.
Yes.
And I love the unification of this. It's so good.
Yeah.
That's hard to do because people have they have such a profound attachment to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Even when you do a lot of, you do a lot of research and you talk to a lot of people, and they have very strong feelings about what it should be and what it shouldn't be, and I think it's sometimes the best answers are the simplest ones, and there's a really, I know this is just a small microcosm of the whole system, but it's really beautiful and something we're so proud of. I think the team did such an amazing job, and the client was amazing too. They're very supportive, and it was great.
I'm texting my wife because she's asking me what sort of dog food. Pro Plan salmon and rice. The world never stops, right? Okay, we're going to conclude with Best in Show. So let's take a look.
Close your eyes. It's 2023. You're 19 years old, rubbing the pandemic fog from your eyes, dodging wildfires, drowning out negative news cycles, and yet expected to ace calculus. It's no surprise that Gen Z is reported to be the most stressed out generation. But they're actively seeking resources to help them navigate the chaos to crush their goals. And while Sallie Mae, a student loan provider, might seem like an unlikely candidate for the job, they want to show up for students and provide support throughout their educational journey, not just at the end when it comes time to pay back loans. So how could Sallie Mae offer Gen Z something helpful and enjoyable enough to earn their time and attention? Well, first they focused on an infamously stressful time of year for students, final exams. Then they dropped a brand new lo-fi music album based on the popular genre's proven ability to stimulate learning, boost mood, filter out distractions, and help listeners achieve a sound mind. Grounded in science and structured using the Pomodoro method of 25 minutes of focus and 5-minute breaks, the SoundMind album features 17 original tracks that fall within a specific range of beats per minute, helping students boost brain power in study, but also vibe out and relax. Sally Mae partnered with several popular lo-fi artists to record tracks and share the album. Then, they let Spotify's algorithm take hold and push SoundMind tracks to the artist's collective 2 million monthly listeners' discoverable playlists. Knowing students have different studying styles and platform preferences, the team also created an album visualizer for YouTube, a platform popular for Gen Z, transporting viewers into a Zen world with a floating brain, a sleeping cat, and of course, space whales. Costing only 6 cents per minute of listening, SoundMind captured 25,000 hours, or 1.5 million minutes of attention across Spotify and YouTube.
When I tell you that it works, I really mean it. This was my go-to album when I was studying for finals last week, and it really helped me to lessen my distractions and concentrate on my tasks.
So it's safe to say the listeners liked it. The album visualizer had 400,000 views with a completion rate of almost 80%, blowing YouTube benchmarks to the moon, along with the stereotype that Gen Z has the attention span of a goldfish. But most importantly, this proves that Sally Mae showed up when and where they were needed, helping students they serve to pursue their academic dreams, all while keeping a sound mind.
So stinking good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not gonna lie, I listen to Lo-Fi Girl all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that tracks for me, right?
Yeah. It's the Portland, Oregon vibe, I think.
Yeah.
Vibe,
okay.
right?
So walk through the brief, walk us through this whole thing. It's
yeah.
I mean, all of this work is brilliant, but there's a reason that this was Best in Show.
Yeah, I think, it's such a cool opportunity to work with a client that is willing to take this kind of risk. And I think, the brief, it was a bit briefless. We went through a really rigorous strategy stage with the clients in the larger goal of changing the perception of Sally Mae as a student loan company. And, the case study kind of takes you through that. It's an Everest of a project from a marketing perspective, but that's when you can really flourish if you are willing to kind of go there with some of the executions. And, we had the opportunity to really be proactive in our thinking with these clients. And once we really settled into the fact that we were focusing solely on Gen Z, these high school seniors or, freshmen in college that just are in a peak stressful time in their lives. How can we show up and become way more than just a student loan company? When we just pitched the idea of, hey, let's launch an album for finals week and give them just this tool that takes, a really low moment in their college careers into something, just a little bit better, 5% better, having that sort of interaction with a brand like Sally Mae. You just don't get that in a more traditional sense. So having students, sitting with our album visualizer or, sitting with headphones on and listening to our album, being able to have that sort of individual moment with students as a brand for, over an hour. It's definitely longer than that 6-second, perception that we have of their attention span. It's when, you're making products, and experiences for them that, on behalf of the brand that people are kind of gravitating towards instead of skipping. That's the kind of content that we want to make. Those are the kind of experiences that we want to create. And I think SoundMind was just a fantastic example of, how brands can really show up and provide value when you really kind of know your audience on a deep level.
Such a great example of how creativity is evolving to match, all the new media and all the new ways to get to the consumer. Right. And I think we'd all poke our eyeballs out if we were still back in the days of just, a few pieces of media to work with. This kind of makes it exciting.
Yeah,
no, it's true.
Part of it, Barb, is the media piece and being able to have the flexibility to look at the media plan in a creative way and back out of that. It's like, let's come up with the idea first, and then we can kind of fill it in with, we didn't make something for YouTube. We wanted to make a music experience, and then we said, okay, what are we going to put on YouTube that's really going to help elevate this? And then we were just kind of filling in the media plan as we saw fit for the idea versus the other way around.
It's great. When did this launch?
It was last year. So it was last like kind of end of summer finals week thing. And we're about the other cool thing about this is it doesn't go away. It's on Spotify, it's on YouTube. So it's been kind of kicking around. And we've put media against it every once in a while during different events in students' lives. We're about to hit 1 million streams. So I'm probably gonna make like a weird platinum album, plaque for something crazy. So yeah, we'll see.
I love that little platinum album.
Really
I love
excited.
it. Yeah. I used to
see
love
why
when they would bring those in.
You can see why Best of Show for GYK and Colossus won the most number of Hatch Bowls this year. So 2 indie agencies really topping the charts for Hatch this year.
Greg, what do you put in those bowls?
Mostly, well, peanut M&Ms, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah, you sort them by colors in the different bowls.
Right.
Not Archer Roos and drink it.
I was going to say a little innuendo there, but what are you going to do? I'm an Oregon guy. We're idiots. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Let's see here. The dog may have an ear infection.
No.
She'll be fine though. She'll be fine.
Nothing to do with the food though.
Well, golden retriever, there's always something with a golden retriever. Yeah, she's a doll baby though. She's a doll baby. Boston's a great dog town. Boston's
Oh yeah.
And I just realized, I'd mentioned earlier that we do radio. We should do a Boston themed radio show. We need to get that set up.
Love it.
Let's do it. I love that.
Listen, or as you like to say in Boston, look it. Honestly, it is a joy it's a joy to have Boston anytime. It's just such a thrill. And Barb, Josh over in your team has been incredibly supportive of the work that I've done over the years. And all of you in Boston have been incredibly supportive. And as mentioned, Greg and Colossus are members, but I love being able to share this work and a reminder to people that get to know these organizations as well. It's really important to understand what's happening in these markets. So the Ad Club is legitimately theadclub.org. So you got a good URL there. That's an easy one. But the thing too is that you'll go through this candy store of work. So you'll be able to go through all of them, and from merit up to gold and best of show, of course. But really, really solid stuff. What excites you most? We'll leave with one thing. What excites you most about the future of creativity in Boston?
Can I just back up for 1 second before we get to that answer? I just want to thank you, Doug, for shining a light on Hatch. I think.
Oh, my pleasure.
I think it's really cool. I think, for people who have come up like myself in the Boston scene, like Hatch holds a really special place in all of our hearts.
Totally.
And shout out to the Ad Club. Of course, they did an amazing job. Barb, you guys are incredible as always. But I think, even when you're coming up, when speaking from the creative perspective, like when you're a young creative, when you win your first Hatch Bowl, it's like the biggest deal in the world. I remember my first Hatch Bowl was for some billboard for Staples, the opposite.
I love it.
And you win that bowl and you're like, I did it. I made it in this business. And, and it's just, there's I think when you talk to the people who've come up in the Boston scene, it's always gonna Hatch is Hatch. It's like, you're going to Hatch. Of course I'm going to Hatch. Like, it's Hatch.
Right.
So I just think it's really cool that you kind of, used your platform to kind of shine a light on it and kind of elevate it. So thank you for having us.
Happy to. Awesome. Always happy to. And I appreciate the kind words. All right, good. You stalled for time. Kristen, you're on the clock.
Yeah, there you go.
I think I'll end with what I kind of started with, and it really goes back to why Hatch is so important for us too, because it's an award ceremony, but it's also a way for us all to get together and talk to one another and celebrate each other. So, I'm just excited to continue to, stay on this crazy media treadmill and compete and continue to reinvent what marketing is every single day, and do it in competition and collaboration with my peers in this city.
Yeah. No, when I was at Adweek and at the Drum, when both of your agencies' names would come up, it'd be like, oh yeah, they're good.
Nice. Yes. We're doing it.
Did you take the antler off of the name?
We just kind of simplified GYK, it's what we call it.
Okay.
And so, the simplification of that was.
No, I got, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. We've been around for a while. GYK Antler in the past 3 years have really been a big evolution for us. Going from, little known to, now being, in venues like this. So, it was kind of a nice little, evolution for us.
Great. Barb, you get the last word as the boss.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit more about the creative community than just the creative, but it will yield creativity. I was really excited, and I think this is happening across the country. But as we're coming out of that, COVID remote, everybody was isolated stage, Hatch really felt exciting to me this year for the celebration of great work. That always is exciting, but the fact that the community was coming together, and it was one of the first times at Hatch. I mean, I'm a longtime Hatch attender. It was one of the first times I really saw young kids and veterans of the business commingling, and the excitement of being together in this way was so powerful to me. And I think what excites me is the young kids got really inspired, because think about it, they've been stunted. They haven't had that exposure for a few years. And I could see the light going off about what great work is and the community being together. And for me, if that's what we just did was a match under some young people, I feel like it's like no holds barred. We just kickstarted a whole new generation of great creative.
I love that. I love hearing that. It was the same in Portland too. We relaunched our award out in the Northwest, and it was the same thing where it's just like, all right, this is good. This is all really, really good. Yeah. It's all good.
I mean, when you watch people like Greg and Kristen winning awards and you see what they're doing, you want to be that. That's what you were talking about, Greg, earlier.
No, it's great. It's great. I'm going to put you all backstage, but thank you so much, all three of you.
Doug.
Really appreciate it.
Doug.
Yes. All right. I'm going to put you backstage. Don't go away. It's not a Zoom call. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I love going through the work. I really, really do. And I remind you, as members, I want to see your work, and I want to talk about the work. And by the way, it doesn't have to be work that's new. It could have been from 5 years ago, 10 years ago. What we like to do is break it down, go through the brief, go through the strategy, go through the creative process, because ultimately we want to learn. We all want to learn from each other, and especially as members. Again, thank you to the 163 agencies and companies that are members of Indie Agency News. For you to learn more about the benefits of membership, please go to indieagency.news. On behalf of everybody at Indie Agency News, I'm Doug Zanger, live from London. We'll see you next time.